4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Another Friday Night Live Q&A. So I made it here. Actually just got done chasing out something in the backyard. A little winded here. I don't know what it was. I'm thinking it was some raccoons. There's this little raccoon keeps trying to get into my tubs and my tanks out there, and hopefully I got them to scatter. I got a camera out there so it tells me when there's motion, and just trying to catch them and do the live at the same time. And so that was a little tricky, but I did make it here, and everybody, hope you're all doing great. If not, as always, hope it gets better for you. But the whole reason why we're here is to do a Q&A for you guys, to help you guys out with your aquarium keeping questions, whatever they may be. Let's chat. There we go. Okay. For some reason I got my phone on the other opposite side of what I usually do. I was hiding what I could see. Yeah, crazy storm coming across the whole nation pretty much. So there was very little orders that I was able to get out. There was a few of you that did get tracking number. Hopefully everybody else that ordered got the email letting you know that we'll have to wait till next week till it's warmer. I always check the weather everywhere before we ship, just to make sure, because ain't nothing worse than like a package not making it, because these are my babies. I am a hobbyist, so when I do send stuff out and something doesn't make it, I hate it. I hate it more than, I don't like to say hate or even hate, but it's not a good feeling. Sure, many of you guys can understand why. And all right, let me go ahead and scroll through here, see if there's any questions. Chef Steve asks, is gonna be 110 Fahrenheit on Tuesday here in Melbourne. What do you do on hot days? So actually I don't do anything, it just gets hot. I do have AC in here, so AC is definitely your friend. But even with my tubs outside, there's not really much I can do for them. And you know, they just bear down and they usually hunker towards the substrate. And this is why I do like having sand in my tubs outside, is just for the fact that it can hold that cold from the night a little more. That way your fish can hunker down to the bottom of it and have a little cool spot to be in. But besides that, like, fish are pretty tough. If anything, it'll just make your fish tough. And I think since I don't use air stones or anything like that, my water actually does a better job at holding that temperature. So say you did have an air stone in a tub, even if you had that substrate that holds some radiant coolness in it, if you're running an airline, you're gonna actually be blowing really hot air into your tubs. Unless you have the pump into a cooled area, then maybe you can blow cooler air into a hotter area. So there are those options as well, to where either a pump can cause you problems, or if you're running it in a cooler spot, it could actually help you out. Same thing, vice versa, if it's cold outside. So if it was cold outside and you're running hot air into it, and especially if it's got a lid, that'll help keep it warm as well. And I wonder how well that works. I can imagine it works fairly well, because the thermal dynamics of water and how it holds and spreads, I mean, it goes through the full thermal phase of the fluidity of water, so it's getting swirled around all over, so it will transfer really well. I wonder how well you could heat an outdoor tub with the pump inside. And especially if you insulate the tubs too. I don't know if you guys have seen any of my videos from when I lived up in Indiana, where I had these heated outdoor tubs, and they were insulated, and they went through crazy, crazy cold weather, -40. So what a lot of those northerners are experiencing now, it's happened before, polar vortex, whatever they call them. They happen every once in a while, and they're brutal. But I had a heated outdoor tub out there, and tropical fish living in there. Matter of fact, I had this wooden barrel at my front door that had nothing but a trash can lid over the top of it. And it had, I think I had 2 heaters in that one, but it was at 86 degrees, and those dwarf neons were just breeding like crazy. But if you guys want to see those videos, there is a whole playlist. And as you guys can see here, we've got a little live inception. So if you guys missed it and haven't seen the live that we did last Sunday, where I took you guys on a tour, full tour around the whole fish room, showed you everything, what was going on, why, this, that, and the other. And there's actually, that video was really beneficial for me, because it has been a while since I really taken the time to be like, okay, here's this, this, and this, because I've been doing all the other work on other things. And since this video, a lot has changed, and a lot to be changed, and really getting organized around here, which I'm super excited about. And which will bring me up to the next thing I need to mention is that we will probably be doing, or well, we will be doing a shorter live tonight, because there's an auction I got to get ready for, Tropical Splash in Orlando. So if you guys are in that area, Space Coast Club is throwing it, and it's like their big annual one. And last time they threw it, I heard it was really, really good. And now, since I've got some tank space, and you never know what rolls through those auctions, that's my favorite part about it. I definitely want to see what I can come home with. So here's hoping to get some good fish. But for that, I've got to bag some up to help pay for that need. You guys know how it goes. Swamp Rabbit Aquatic says, what part of Florida are you guys in? We're expecting 1 inch of ice at -20 degrees in South Carolina, expecting widespread power loss. Dang, that's crazy in South Carolina. So here it was actually 77 today. I think it's supposed to be 76 tomorrow, 70 something on Sunday. But then after that, for like the next 4 or 5 days, it gets to like 50s and 30s. And we're in the Big Bend of Florida, right where Florida bends. We're like in the center of that. Toothpick Dinosaur says, I think the air would cool off in the airline before the heat will make a difference. So that's a big thing to mention too. So if you wanted to try that, maybe insulate that airline as well, which isn't that hard to do. A little bit of insulation wrap, or even that pipe insulation. Put a pipe around it, then put insulation around your pipe. That heat would fill up that pipe and keep it warm enough, and with the constant transfer of heat, it would be a constant thermal trap. So if you did want to try to do that, you could always insulate that line, but definitely you want to think about that for sure. Want that heat loss. And Mr. Matthews, my goodness, dude, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Dude, you have been so awesome to me. It says, thanks for the time and knowledge. Buy a fish on me. Dude, awesome. I definitely will. Definitely will. For $20, I could get some fishes, especially at auction price. 20 bucks to buy you something real good. So thank you, dude, once again. All right, scrolling. Chef Steve says, do you think there's a chance rainbow cichlids would spawn and survive in a community tank, or should I move them into their own tank? Depends on what's in the community, because they're pretty good at like keeping their territory and keeping fish away. But the problem will be, even after they get done like brooding them, when they come out, they're still going to be small enough that if certain fish are in there and in that community and able to fit them in their mouth, that'll be a always problem. So if you really want to get the numbers out of them, you just got to move them. Move them or the eggs. And I am at the bottom of the chat, so if you got a question, that is where I am at. Milwaukee, Wisconsin, -12 with -22 wind chill, not going anywhere. Yeah, you're best off staying inside. I would say order some DoorDash, but man, you probably shouldn't be having DoorDashers in that weather either. God. I remember those -40 wind chills. There's actually, we go play in them sometimes. I don't know why. Like, I'm not a fan of the cold, but like that extreme cold, that's just like something to be experienced. And it's a bit different too, because it's usually just such a dry cold. The wind will always get you. But if you bundle up enough and stay warm, it's crazy. Like when I put my glove into that dwarf neon tub that was 86 degrees out there with the -40 wind chill, when I pulled my glove out, after it being wet, it took like no time to dry at all. Me and my neighbor were over at his house because he had more of a hill, actually a really long hill from like his front house, and then it went all the way down to his driveway. And we were out there trying to soak it and make a real slick ice track, which we got it all right, but it was still kind of tough because that moisture just wanted to dry up almost as fast as we were spraying it on there. Which we had to use like a spraying thing, not a hose, because I don't know why he didn't have the hose. There might have been some beers involved. But we did slide down it a couple times. It didn't get quite the speed we were looking for, but we still had fun. Mr. Matthew says, are there any dangers with green water? I've had some TMIT, can harbor parasites, but never actually had that problem. So I guess it just depends on where you get it from. Any water column or volume of water can hold parasites depending on what's in the water. So it just depends on how clean of a space did that green water come from. So like say my green water, it's clean. I know what's in my tanks. I don't have to worry about that stuff. But like if somebody just scoops it up out of a pond outside, who knows? So source is always number one when it comes to getting stuff for your aquarium. Because if it does harbor parasites and you have to worry about that stuff, it's just a pain in the long run. Not only does it take more time, it takes more thought, more energy, meds sometimes, heartache, learning, experience, which I guess it offers that as well, so it all depends on how you look at it. If you want to grow as a person, get that pond water. It'll teach you to be tough. If not, then if you want it nice and easy, know where you get the source from. Jackson says, how hard of water is too hard to hatch dwarf neon rainbows? So that's a good question. I mean, I was doing it in my tap water at 400 TDS. So, I mean, that's pretty high. And the normal limit is supposed to be 500 TDS. That's supposed to be allowed. Now, sometimes you get well water or in different places or near a coastline to where you have salinity. So it will read more salts and stuff in the water column, which will give you higher reading, or yeah, higher readings. And I've seen water, natural water at 1100, 1400 TDS, and it was mostly volcanic rock stream, and it fossilized like everything that came through it. But there's guppies, shrimp living in there. Now, as far as dwarf neon eggs, there's probably a limit as far as how hard it really could go. And beyond 400, I don't really know. But I know they can hatch in fairly hard water. They're not like ones that you have to have that soft water to be soft enough to be able to let the babies out. Because if the water's too hard and it hardens and encases the eggs, that's what makes it hard for the babies to hatch. Chef Steve says, my Oscar hasn't eaten for 2 days and just wants to lay on the bottom of the tank. What could be wrong with him? That's not good. Is he cold? Is he looking skinny? He's probably got an internal parasite, more than likely. Unless his tank's funky. I don't know. It's really hard to tell without seeing the rest of his conditions and knowing the rest of the conditions, but those are the first 3 places my mind goes for those situations. So check on his temperature first. And then internal parasites. Mario's Corners Aquatics says, what's up, Lucas? What are some cool African cichlids I can keep in my 60 breeder? So like all the Tanganykan types, if it's a 60 breeder, that's what I would do, is more of like a kind of African reef tank where you have the smaller cichlids like the Julia chromis types, maybe some of the Prosciardis, Cotylopunctata, Shelleys, some of those like smaller ones. There's the Lululupi or whatever. There's actually a whole slew of tiny Tanganykan cichlids, especially if you're in the Midwest area. The collection in the clubs of those types of fish gets pretty wild. There's a club in Chicago, Greater Cichlid, what is it? Greater Cichlid, it's GCCA, Greater Cichlid Association, something. Greater Chicago Cichlid Association. But they get real deep. Although they do a lot of everything else. That is, and then the OCA over there. There's a whole slew of Tanganykan Africans to look into. That's what I would do with this 60 breeder. Ty Horton says, so did you test your GH and KH after the fish room tour? What was it? So, Ty, what I did learn is why they quit using glass vials. I don't know if it was you or somebody who mentioned the glass vials and how they changed them to plastic tubes. I now totally understand why they changed them to plastic tubes, because I went to test the water, went to pull the little top off the tube, and the thing shattered in my hand. Luckily, I didn't cut myself. Could have easily cut myself. And then after that, I just threw it away because I was like, well, wasn't meant to test that water. But I guess we'll try again someday. And actually, one of the bottles was expired. I was still going to try it anyways because, you know, sometimes it still works. But one of the bottles was expired, so I don't know if I would have got a true reading anyways, but after the vials broke on me, I was like, nope. Now I understand why they went to plastic. Wet floors. Thanks for asking. Wet floors and aquariums. I do want to know what the GH and KH is at some point. So the way I do things around my fish room and how I'm able to keep up with all in what I do is I work through flow. So me getting that GH and KH test again, you know, it's got to be put into the flow and eventually it'll flow in. because it is something I want to do. Wet floors in aquariums that I know many of you guys are curious too. Rio Paraguay bristles are finally at maturity. 2 males, 2 females. Should I split into 2 breeding tanks? One pair has had fry, just not sure which ones they are. They're so shy. So if you got the space, definitely split them up into 2 different pairs. That way, when you have both pairs breeding, you keep like a couple back, like your best ones that you get growing up are ones that look real nice or what you're going for, and then keep their genetics as your next breeding brood and stock, because you want to deepen the gene pool. If you're just breeding them together all the time, you don't know who's who, which is which, and say your breeders do get older, what are you going to breed with then? Even though half the time, a lot of people will get tired of their fish by then and just moves on to something else. So that also depends on how you feel about that. Water is clean and 25 degrees Celsius. The other fish are all happy. What's 25 degrees Celsius? That's usually a question I ask Siri. Since I can't do that right now, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. And wet floors and aquariums, I appreciate that. It says, by the way, everybody, don't forget to hit the like button. Well, thank you for reminding them and reminding me to remind them. Appreciate that. Only 22 likes in here. Jeez, I must have failed you all. The opiate commercial can go away. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't really watch the commercials. Broke down about the premium. Time is money. Money is time. I am robot. GCCA swap is this weekend, I think, says Chi-Town Pat. That's always a good one. Love those swaps. What meds should I try for my Oscar? I would use the Levomasol first. For sure. 76 Fahrenheit, I think, says Gary. So if it is 76 Fahrenheit, I mean, that's fine. That's what mine's at right now. He's doing fine. He's just chilling in the weeds. But yeah, some of those commercials they be having anymore, like pretty much just what a lot of media is feeding right now. It's crazy between AI and other stuff. Oh my God. It's getting weird out there. They're definitely keeping it weird. Guess can't be bored, right? Contented Predator says, hello, Lucas. I have a question for you. I noticed a constant conversation that when an aquarium goes bad, people automatically say to reset it. I disagree. What are your thoughts on this? Yes, for sure. You do not have to reset it. As a matter of fact, that's the one thing. It's more of a psychological thing. And I guess it also depends on how bad it is, too. Like, there's give and take to everything. And if a tank's like so bad, so gnarly, it just needs a reset, then yeah, you probably do need a reset. But a lot of situations, and I've seen it happen before, where people will have something slight happen into their aquarium, and then they're like, ooh, gotta wash it all out with Dawn soap, the whole 9 yards, and start again. Which one, never used Dawn soap on any of my tanks, soap, period. Just a little water, rinse them out. But no, if you're, so this all becomes a place where you really need to connect with nature, really understand nature, learn and strive to understand it and connect with it. And as a hobbyist, you know, when people are first starting out, like they may just go to a box store, they got that like itch or that like impulse, I just want to get an aquarium, I want to have this in my life, this is it. You know, they've still got a lot of learning to do. And it really takes going outside of the box and putting your toes in to try to understand nature. And it's not something that just happens overnight either. But once you do start to have the approach in your mind of what is nature doing with water? How does water look out in nature? Um, how do fish live in those natural waters? I mean, their water's not being sterilized by chlorine, I'll tell you that much. And then you start to learn how to balance it more, how to have like a not too dirty tank, but not too clean tank, and have something in the middle to where your fish really love it and they thrive. They don't just survive, they thrive, they breed. They absolutely love it. And then once you learn that, it makes the hobby a lot easier for you. And buckle up for the MTS, because there's never enough tanks. That's for sure. So there is different ways to reset tanks too. Whether it be the bacteria. Maybe you have a bacteria bloom problem where you have more negative bacteria and you need more positive bacterias. And you can actually fight bad bacteria with good bacteria as well. So say if you had like a bacterial bloom, it's started to smell. Usually if your tank smells and it like smells bad, not like the earthy smell because that's natural and it's not like a stinky earthy smell, but bacterial blooms, they'll kind of have a smell. But if you took the beneficial mold and media from another filter, squeezed it into that tank, it actually settled a lot of that. Now, of course, you would want to do a 50% water change and then squeeze that into that. And then that's a way to reset your beneficial bacteria, your microbiology, before having to reset the whole system. So if you're really needing to reset anything, and it always comes down to the microbiology, the beneficial bacteria, and all that stuff. I forgot my drink over here. I was gonna have to sit way back. Had to redo my fish room a little bit. Sipping on a little sweet tea, that southern style. This stuff's good for 99 cents. I shouldn't be drinking it just because of high fructose corn syrup, but YOLO. At least I'm not drinking a twisted tea, I guess. All right, Mr. Matthew says, I know you're not always able to keep up on your water changes. Same for me. Only fish that seems to have problems are fancy guppies if I go too long. Is this ever a problem for you with them? So, yeah, if you go too long, they just won't breed very much. The breeding will slow down. The water changes will definitely activate their breeding. I think a lot of it has to do with their absorption of minerals in the water and just knowing that there's like fresh water, fresh rain coming in for them. I don't know, but they do prefer water changes, and it does take them quite a bit of time, like going a year or so. And some will breed, some don't care. And you know, it all depends on those lines with those guppies. Some are different than others. But yeah, anything in all the fish. Well, I don't want to just say that either, because I got my barbs to breed without water changing, and a community breed when it was like the dirtiest tank ever. And then they never done it after I cleaned it up again, and it never got dirty again. But for the most part, all the fishes, you know, when it comes to really getting triggers to breed, water changes always help. For sure. Uncanny Sense says, summer here in Australia. Been busy collecting Medaka eggs from mops and outdoor tubs. Found a used 40-gallon breeder, and I'm trying to breed my pair of Petricola Synodontis cats. Well, that's awesome. If you're trying to breed those, I do have a breeding video. So if you type in LRB, Petricola Synodontis breeding, the video should pop up for you. But essentially, there's a special, you can get like a small bowl. They usually have them at crafting stores, and then you get like a drain and a cap, and you create like this hut over the bowl. That way the catfish can go into the hut, and then the eggs fall through the drain into the bowl, and you could collect heck of eggs. Tons of them. Wet Floors and Aquarium says, I have a 90-gallon with a dozen goldfish, seating 5 sponge filters, 2 aqua clear 70s, running FX4. Crazy how I still see poo. And what you're probably seeing is not so much poo, but actually mulm and the beneficial bacteria detritus. It's in all the water. It's AKA new dirt. Very fertile dirt, the most fertile dirt of them all. I can imagine you're seeding a lot with that. Those goldfish will seed the microbiology real quick. Aquarium Fantasy, I've been thinking about you. Hey, I got that model number for you. Let me grab it real quick. Because I know you've been wanting that model number for that pump. I don't know really your email. But here, are you ready, Henry? It's probably backwards, ain't it? Oh, there's the camera. But it's J. So this is the pump that pulls my water out of my water change system. If you guys haven't seen my water change system, type in LRB water change system. So I've got these pumps that pull the water out. And it's nothing but a garden pump. But the model number is JGP 1200 1WU INOX, and that's the model number of those new pumps that I got. That work a lot better than those Vevers, and a lot more affordable, or at least cost effective. So Henry, I do got that for you. Scott Spangler says, any experience with black ruby barbs? Planning on having a bunch with some Hillstream loaches. They're really cool. They're beautiful. Their colors will morph a little bit as they get older. So they may not have like all that striping as much. They get absolutely beautiful though. They stand out big time. With the Hillstream loaches, they should be fine. Hillstream loaches are pretty good about holding their own. Definitely have some rock piles in that tank. But not a picky fish when it comes to water, soft water, hard water, temp. Those barbs, most barbs are all super hardy. Wow, really? Uncanny Sense says, not sure what it's like in the US, but the store retail prices of fish seem to have at least tripled here in Australia in only a few years. That's wild. I already knew a lot of your stuff was already expensive as it was. As far as here, I ain't changed my prices since 1983. Or at least since I started this. Which it was probably actually, I don't know, 2017 or something. Maybe longer. I don't remember. It is way back in the day. But no, it kind of seems like prices has been pretty stable here. Depends on what it is too. Brady T says, I planted some Crypt Tropica beginning of November. They finally converted, but the leaves are really small and the plants are short. Any tips on bigger, bushier growth? Maybe I'm just impatient. Yeah, with those crypts, you have to just be patient. So sometimes it just, especially when they've got to convert, and now you're finally getting that new growth, the best thing to do is just leave it alone. Because if you pump it up with too much ferts or too much light, then you're just gonna grow algae on it and it can hinder it some. So best to just kind of let it do its thing and let it grow its biomass up over time. Crypts are one of those long games. So You guys know that Sarawak Crypt, that real rare one that I have, that I had offered you guys, and still on the website. And I did mark it down to $40 now. I think 3 years for that tank to grow out. So that's how long it can take with crypts sometimes. Crypts are a long game for sure. That's not one of those, I'm gonna put it in my tank and grow it real fast. You want those, you want like stem plants. Aquarium Fantasy, yeah, I understand you. You don't want to drill your tanks. I didn't either. That's why I did it the way I did it. Even though if I do get more tanks now, I probably will have to drill them. Oh crap, we're over the half-hour mark. I gotta remember, I gotta get stuff bagged up here. Cheeseburger says, what bottom-dwelling fish are safe with CPO, crayfish, 20-gallon, heavily plated, lots of caves? That's a tough one because just each other trying to eat each other. I don't really know, to be honest. Since I gotta hurry off here. Lucas was a website problem solved. So as soon as I solve one, another one will show up. But yeah, for those ones that have been mentioned, I have fixed them out. It's just been one thing after another with them guys. If anybody can help Cheeseburger out there, I don't know. CPO crayfish, I would just not recommend anything, to be honest. 360C White Cloud Minnow for 120. That's already stupid cheap to begin with. 360 is more practical. I want to say that's bad. For a White Cloud, that's practical. Like, people got to breed those things. They got families to feed. I mean, it's $120 versus 360 compared to everything else. So I wouldn't say that's too bad. But all right, I got to hop off here because I got to get ready. Thank you, Aquarium Fantasy, for posting up the link to my shop. If you guys want to get something homebred, some of the easiest plants you could ever grow, because these have been through the ringer. They know how to grow. And even the toughest conditions. Hit it up, lrbaquatics.com. But I appreciate you guys all hanging out. Please hit the like button. That way YouTube knows I'm doing something over here. And until next time, everybody, peace. Have a good one. Dun, 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 dun. Squirt, what are you doing? Oh, that's my cat. Come on out. Cat's probably wondering why I was talking to my phone this whole time. See you guys.